So let's start with just a brief introduction, and I think we have some slides to help illustrate these. Joe, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about Zenescope?
I started Zenescope 16 years ago with my partner, Ralph Tedesco.
Yeah.
We were both aspiring screenwriters and didn't have a lot of success getting our screenplays looked at in Hollywood, so we pivoted to publishing our TV and film ideas as graphic novels and comic books. So unlike a lot of mid-tier and smaller publishers, we don't license out our products or license in products. We create everything in-house. So over the 16 years, we've created a library of about 300 characters that have appeared in hundreds of stories.
Yeah, here's a little bit of information about
Robin Hood, one of our most popular characters. And we do a lot of reinventions of classic fairy tales. And we've had some success on the side of licensing our products out as an RIP out as TV and film properties. So, and that's kind of the goal of our company, is to have those leverage those characters across multiple revenue streams.
Got it. And here's some of them: Grimm Fairy Tale, Van Helsing, and some of the horror sci-fi one. What's your favorite set of characters?
Robin Hood's probably my favorite. Man Goat and the Bunny Man is one we came out with this year. It's been very, very successful. So, you know, right around now it's getting kicked around Hollywood as a possible TV series. So we'll see. But
Man Goat and the Bunny Man.
Yeah.
Which one are you? The Man Goat?
I'm Man Goat for sure.
You're Man
yeah.
Goat. All right. All right. Well, we'll find you a Bunny Man here somewhere. All right.
That's my partner.
For that, let's go to Gary, and Gary's going to talk to us about what is Epik.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks for having us. Hi, everyone. I'm Gary, COO of Epik. It's really cool to be at this event. I wish I was there in person with Joe and seeing some real faces. It looks like a lot of fun is going on as well. So, yeah, really great for the chance to interact more with more of the BSV community. I've been in crypto since 2013, and I've been with Epik doing NFTs since early 2018. And as we all know, things are just getting started. The industry is just so exciting with all the new innovation that's coming out. So Epik is an NFT platform and ecosystem that works with crypto games and mainstream games, along with giant entertainment IP brands, to create in-game NFT goods and marketplaces. So we work with over 300 gaming clients, including half of the top 25 video game companies, such as Tencent and Garena, and of course, global brands like Warner, Universal, and many more. In fact, we're the first NFT company to work with AAA games. So we specialize in unique NFT drops, focusing on crossover content and unique content collaborations, with many coming out this year from some of the biggest names.
Got it. And I'm showing on screen a few of the slides you sent me, including like this one: fun to own, fun to play with the card. Tell us about this.
Yeah. So we did a collaboration with Asphalt 9. Asphalt is an amazing mobile racing game. It's hugely successful. I think the franchise has had over 1 billion downloads in its history. We had an interactive in-game racing event called the Epik NFT Challenge, where players got to play and win exclusive NFTs from that event. In fact, some of the expanding upon that is taking these NFTs and creating like physical NFT commemorative items as well. So it's a really full suite kind of experience for people and game players to get involved with. Following that, I don't know if you're showing the second slide there, which is another longtime client, which is Garena. Their game Free Fire is the #1 mobile game in the world, has like over 100 million daily active users. So we put DVLM, which is a huge superstar DJ artist, into the game, making everything from custom soundtracks involved with that collaboration and in-game skins, etc. So yeah, that's kind of what we do, and that's the little bit about Asphalt and Free Fire events.
Great. And before we get to the collaboration between all three of you, I'm going to turn to Adam. And Adam, tell us about Fix. We heard from David Case, your colleague, yesterday. But let's talk about CryptoFights and Fix.
So yeah, Adam Kling, CEO and founder of Fix Gaming. And we actually started with CryptoFights, originally on Ethereum. And long story short, we found out that it was a dead end because we really wanted to achieve layer 1 gaming. As you can see in retrospect, everybody has gone to some other layer to perform most of what they want to do. And we have really, I think, proven over the last couple of months that this is possible. This is essentially the dream of where it all started. And so we created a CryptoFights, and it's evolved over many years. And it's currently a 1 versus 1 strategy fighting game that's based on the Dungeons and Dragons dice mechanics, and you can create your character. It's all custom to you. It's actually an NFT that you own. You can collect loot to kind of build up your arsenal for your characters, and that could be weapons, armor, accessories. And as we'll kind of get into here, you can actually create what we call illusions, and we'll get into that in a bit. But the game is really kind of founded on really reinventing the kind of the network layer of how blockchains are supposed to be in the future. It's not really keeping everything the same and really just doing the NFTs. It's really your game is your wallet now, and when you make a move, it is a Bitcoin transaction, and that's really kind of the more unique things that we're pioneering, I believe, in the space. And it's we have a portal. When we started developing this technology, we said that this solves a lot in the esports industry, I believe, with kind of online tournaments and more sophisticated tournament structures. But when we start to get into the NFT world and this kind of new networking system, it really opens up some really, really fascinating possibilities. And I'm going to drop the buzzword, the Metaverse. But as we start to kind of discover what that Metaverse can look like in real life, I think we're all kind of on the tip of that, and that's all because we went to BSV and really worked hard on kind of getting the game to where it is now. And there's still a lot that we need to do with it. But I would deplore everyone to actually go and try it and see that you can actually do layer one gaming, and no one else is doing that as far as I know.
Great. And for those of you who've been watching the BSV network, CryptoFights, the game has been generating, as it's come out of beta, a lot of transactions on chain. On some days, over 1 million individual transactions on chain, which has been more on some days than whole competing ecosystems, such as Ethereum, for example. And that's because each of these individual battle moves becomes a transaction on chain, which is why they needed scalability, low fees. Let's talk about your collaboration. It was just announced in a press release this week, but please tell our audience what you're doing with Epik and Fix CryptoFights.
Sure. So we've been working with Epik for a while to produce NFTs, and through that relationship, they brought us the partnership with CryptoFights, which honestly, I don't know a lot about NFTs, or didn't when we first started getting into this, but to have our characters realized as collectible in a fighting game that uses Dungeons and Dragons mechanics was just something really cool for us. As I mentioned, we're trying to leverage our properties across all different kinds of revenue streams. So this is really cool. Limited edition collectibles in the comic book world and in the publishing world are really big and a big part of our business. So to have something that we can then put in a game and is a digital limited edition collectible is just a really good opportunity for us. So we're super excited about it.
Great. I believe Adam has prepared a video to show us a bit of the journey to create these NFTs using one of your characters. So let's play the video.
first drop is going to be the Death Force character that you saw, and then we have a lot of other characters coming into the future that you have to stay tuned with.
So, Joe, will the CryptoFights game have access to your entire library of character assets, or just certain of them?
You're asking the wrong person that question. It's our licensing. But yeah, I think we've opened it up to pretty much all of our characters. So.
Yeah. Well, we're waiting for Gary to get back onto our stream. Tell us why NFTs, in your mind, help a major IP owner like your company do more.
Yeah, I think that hopefully this will give more access to people who don't know our company. If they're playing Crypto Fights, they see our characters. It'll lead them down the path of looking, where did this artwork come from? Where did the characters come from? And vice versa. Hopefully people will be interested in these characters and collectible tokens, and we'll purchase them, and it'll add another revenue stream to our business model.
Adam, during the earlier panel about NFTs, we talked about the distinction between keeping NFTs on-chain versus off-chain storage of NFTs. How is your platform going to be dealing with that, and what are the advantages in your mind?
Yeah, so, a lot of the NFTs, being off-chain have, I guess, kind of a future risk in that, when we're putting things in video games and you're buying an NFT, what do you really own? And so one of the best things about BSV is that we can actually start thinking about storing assets on chain, because 5-10 years into the future, that NFT that you buy that's stored on IPFS or some cloud server, it could be deleted or just don't exist. And so when we think about kind of on-chain assets, is what we're really kind of thinking on more of the technical level is that almost like a reference to a transaction on BSV. And that transaction could be, using the kind of the file storage protocols that could be, for example, the 3D model, all of the stuff that you saw in the video, I should say the metadata, the 3D model, the textures. I mean, all the things that our game client needs to represent that item in game can actually be stored on chain. And so now you actually have really what I would say kind of the more foundational aspects of how games will start to talk to each other. Is that NFT. So if we're thinking about this Death Force character in a future game, and they say, well, hey, you know what? You don't need to request those assets from us or from Zenescope or anybody. It's all on chain. And then we have discussions about, okay, well, maybe we should put a license agreement on chain as well. And so now you have kind of the foundations where I think of how games will talk to each other and how you really can go from one game to another. And that's really what our minds are thinking about at Fix is really these stepping stones to kind of get to those places.
Yeah, so if I, have a character avatar in your game and it's stored on chain with all of the attributes I accumulate, I could then potentially play it with the same character in another game.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's really, we were actually talking about, well, what would be the kind of the specifications for this other game? And I mean, it can be as simple as a zip file that holds all of this information. We could have a low poly version, a high poly version. We could have, essentially a smart contract that, deals with, who can utilize this. Maybe these are the trusted people. And if you're outside of that, you're essentially pirating at that point. And the lawyers can go after. I mean, so these, again, I don't know all the answers today, but I do see like the stepping stones for how this can actually work technically on that level. And, we're trying to do that. These Zenescope characters could be usable in a lot of games into the future because of the kind of the foundations that we're laying now.
Gary, tell us about your company's role in helping create these avatars and NFTs and CryptoFights for Zenescope.
Yeah, I mean, Epik is the leading global digital licensing agency putting brands into games. I think we showed a couple of the other examples in addition to what we're doing with CryptoFights and Zenescope there. So really about putting together these collaborations and creating like unique content, both for the in-game experiences, but as well expanding upon that to create NFT and digital collectibles as new digital merchandise based on this content as well, which opens up a whole breadth of new doors and opportunities for all the people involved, from the platform side to the the brands and IP owner side. And I'm sure we'll touch a bit more about that in later in this conversation. But I mean, regarding CryptoFights, when we first started talking with Adam, we were super impressed with what he was creating with CryptoFights from a game experience. I mean, you can see from the video, it's amazing. It's the game's super polished, high quality, as well as his comprehension on the potential for NFTs in the game space. I remember we'd jump on a call for a planned 10-minute huddle, and we'd just get trapped talking for an hour about all the possibilities we could do with NFTs today and tomorrow as well. Anyway, we got to learn more about his vision for the game, and it became very apparent that this IP crossover was going to be very unique from other collaborations that we've done with clients. We also knew they could benefit from a rich character-driven IP and work with a property that was, really forward-thinking about how their licensed IP can be used to push boundaries in this NFT space, which leads us to Zenescope. Like Joe said, we've had the fortune to have worked with them on a handful of deals, and work closely with them to develop a great digital strategy for their wonderful brand and their entire universe of characters. What Joe has helped create from a comic universe standpoint is absolutely bewildering. So that's what we did. We brought these people together, and now the result is both a great game experience, but as well as a unique original NFT collectible experience with true functionality and functional game utility for the NFT owner and player, which is a huge milestone as well for everyone.
And what's been your experience so far, your team's experience with building on the BSV blockchain and its functionality?
Yeah, well, Epik is not necessarily a single a developer in terms of from the game experience. We work with an entire networking ecosystem, and a lot of them are participating on different types of protocols, different networks. Epik, we are agnostic in that we do support all the cross-chain interoperability and work with clients and partners that are set up on different platforms. CryptoFights is our first BSV project, and we are extremely impressed, and I think there's tons of opportunity here. So we look forward to kind of bringing our ecosystem to support more of that and leverage more of the BSV ecosystem and capabilities that it brings as well, and then just bring it out there. So for us, our mission and our thesis is always about digital merchandise first, right? Like consumer products first, and like letting that kind of drive this innovation, and whether it be in certain areas, certain pockets, certain technologies, we'll build an entire kind of framework that can let all these people work, in conjunction with each other interoperably and things like that, to bring more rich experiences with wonderful IP and Zenescope and so many others.
Joe, tell us about, there's a special collector NFTs that you'll be making that offer some signed elements from your contributors. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so with the release of the Death Force Avatar, we're going to have some signed comics, #1 issues that'll be signed by me, since I wrote and created the character. Hopefully that doesn't devalue them too much, or the NFT itself. But and then we're thinking about some other options, having artwork created just as an NFT for release with the characters, maybe short stories. I think the possibilities are kind of endless of what we can do. But definitely releasing a #1 issue with signature on it for the first drop.
Adam, I know one of the things we've talked about is the obviously low-fee scalability capabilities of BSV that allow you to essentially mint NFTs, maybe not for free, but maybe almost for free. Tell me how you will be able to use that capability to really promote your own game.
Yeah, this actually channels over the last several years, especially when we're on the Ethereum system, is about NFT distribution. Is that if we were to do, let's say, a promo item, character, you name it, you can't do that. It's too expensive. And so we actually, we've done over 2 million NFT drops just from gameplay alone right now. And if a big game with hundreds of millions of players, did a promo or a like an ultimate edition with a bunch of extras and so that, that there's a big cost to that just for most other chains. And BSV gives that ability for everything to be really cheap, very low friction for the user. And so I think that's really it's a big competitive advantage that I think there were some other people that saying like, please keep doing what you're doing on those other chains because it gives us time to outcompete you before you even realize it. And that's really kind of how I feel as well, is that I appreciate people overlooking BSV from where the position we are now, because it gives us a lot of time to prove that we can do more than Ethereum can do in a day, or we can distribute 1 million NFTs for a fraction of what they can do. And so when that stuff really happens in the market, they're going to be like, well, wait a minute, we can't do that. And they have to go to side chains, and you have to the transaction fees from a layer 2 solution back to layer 1 if they want to trade it in certain markets and all that. So all that fragmentation has a cost, and I don't think a lot of that's realized yet. And that's I don't want to get too much into that, but that's been kind of where my head's a lot is, looking at these other blockchain games and how they've been kind of forced to go to layer 2 solutions to scale. But I even believe those layer 2 solutions will have a scaling ceiling, and so on their success they fail, and that's kind of what I'm waiting to see and see if I'm right.
Yeah. Joe, beyond NFTs, is your company thinking about, or at least exploring, other use of blockchain technology?
Not right now. I mean, we're really focused on the NFTs. Like I said, it's kind of new for us. So, but I think the low cost and it's good for the consumer. It's good for collectors. We're hoping to see our NFTs appreciate in value, and we've seen that in the publishing world. Some of the limited edition collectibles that we released a couple years ago that might have sold for $5, $10, $15, $20 trade on the secondary market for several hundred now. So, as a consumer, you want to get, and a collector, you want to get something that's a low cost and is verified by the blockchain technology, and the scarcity drives that price. So we're really excited about it. It's something new for us, but I think it has a world of possibilities.
Are there other types of physical items that you would think to create NFTs of? Obviously, we were talking about creating NFTs of a digital avatar, but people like to collect comics and other memorabilia.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of our stuff is art driven. So, like with Epik, we've done some art pieces that have some animation to them. Again, we're just dipping our toe into it, and it's very exciting, but we haven't thought much beyond that, other than the artwork. And maybe, like I said, I think some stories that are limited edition that can be sold digitally. We do a lot of digital business already, so I think there's a lot of possibilities there.
Great. Gary, tell us what's next for your company and how companies can work with you.
Yeah, I was going to add on to what Joe was saying there is perhaps understating it a little bit. I mean, Zenescope has really cultivated an amazing fan following, some of the most loyal, comic and fan base around the world with what they've developed. So in terms of like the collectability and creating these and expanding into like a digital frontier, I think it's perfectly aligned with them and what they've already brought to the market and what they bring to the table, so to speak, in terms of IPs for consumers. But to your question about like Epik and what's ahead of it, we are continually to forge ahead and kind of build more of these like partnerships and expand the ecosystem for both clients from the IP side as well as like digital platforms. And like I said, build more towards what Adam's calling this frontier of metaverses and just interoperability of these consumer products, digital consumer products, and interweaving them across digital different platforms, which is also what Adam mentioned there a little bit. So yeah, I think in terms of that, is a big focus for us at Epik.
Adam, tell us what's next for CryptoFights and Fix generally. I know you've got some transformative plans coming.
I do, and I hate that you asked me that because I cannot disclose that yet. I am working on something that will, I think, change the game, no pun intended. But I can't release any of that information yet, but I would say stay tuned. The race is on. If anyone's watching this space, my goal is to be the top game, and I know what's at stake here with kind of the recent news with a lot of these other games, and just stay tuned. I really can't give out any more right now.
That's all right. I'm just going to leave you to be a tease for now. Joe, well, let's shift gears a bit. ComicCon New York is this week. For any people who are here in New York and may want to check out, what are you going to be showing?
Everything. We'll have a bunch of products over there, a bunch of our graphic novels, a lot of collectibles specific for New York Comic Con. It's very exciting to finally get back because obviously we didn't have it last year. Mm-hmm. I know that usually there's about 300,000 people that go through the con, but I think they've cut that in half this year, so we'll have to see. But it's very exciting. If anybody hasn't been there, you'll see a lot of funny, crazy things going on. So a lot of cosplay, a lot of people dressed up. It's a lot of fun. So, but like I said, I don't know if there's tickets still available. I guess there are. But it's always been a really good show for us. It's a great way to meet fans. It's a great way to meet people and get our product out there. And I think we're the only publisher this year. Marvel's not there. DC isn't there. So hopefully we can kind of corner the market and do really well.
Okay. Adam, back to you before we wrap up. Are you thinking about licensing other IP assets from other types of IP owners into CryptoFights?
Yeah, absolutely. We're just getting started. this Zenescope collaboration, I want to see through. I want to really prove out. There's still a lot of work we got to do on the marketplace, and obviously all of these other characters, and there's a lot of development kind of behind the scenes with getting all these characters ready. We're even doing like motion capture animation for like when you saw in Death Force. We're doing that for all the other characters, and so after that, the partnership with Epik is, I believe, will open doors into other suitable IP that we can start to kind of bring over. But after we stop thinking about just crypto fights, we really do have another marketplace as well that I've had interest from, but we're just not ready yet to really start releasing more IP on there yet. But it's coming soon and definitely on the roadmap.
All right, and with that, I think we will wrap up our panel. Let's give a big warm round of applause to Joe, Gary, and Adam, and go out and play Crypto Fights. Can't wait for that Deathstroke avatar to drop. Thank you so much.